Do you understand how dark it is? How far down the line we are? How late it is? It is Wednesday, the 4th day of March 2009. For the next 30 minutes, I'm going to break down the reality of the military-industrial complex takeover, the FEMA camps, the open announcement of world government being set up by the banks that you'll pay carbon taxes to, and how people like Glenn Beck are countering this, and after denying it all these years, and how they're attempting to co-opt the Patriot Liberty movement, and how every time he talks about FEMA camps, he then talks about the threat of Russia and Iran. He creates the fear of FEMA camps, then psychologically flips it into then going into Iran's got nukes and we've got to go after them. More of the same propaganda. Gets your confidence talking about the FEMA camps, things like that, but then says maybe the FEMA camps are needed. And then we're also going to integrate that with some of his attacks on Ron Paul, 9/11 truthers, and others, saying that we should have the military sicked on us. And the reason I'm getting into this is because this is a psyop by Fox News. This is Fox News, the big purveyors of propaganda. They're there to neutralize conservatives. You know, Limbaugh's been discredited for decades, saying no New World Order existed. Now it's all over the news as the savior. It's exactly as we said the New World Order would be. A World Bank, Bank of the World, Time Magazine, Newsweek, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times of London, all saying it's good. North American Union's good, and the Wall Street Journal, now owned by News Corp and Fox News. Okay, we're in a depression. The answer is world government. And then they have him over there playing the part of, well, I don't know if this is a good idea, but I'm worried about the Bubba factor in their guns. What do we do? That's the same way that Tommy Franks 4 years ago would go on Fox and say, and other channels, and say, you know, I'm real sad about this, but it's what the people are going to demand for security, that the next time we're hit by terrorists, we're going to have martial law and a military form of government in America. Gee, I'm sorry that's going to happen, but that's all that'll keep us safe. You don't expect to come out and say martial law is good, military occupation is good. He says, gee, I'm sorry, it's not really our form of government, but it's all that'll keep you safe. You know, martial law is what'll keep you safe. It's what the people want. When it's not what the people want, martial law won't keep you safe. That's how they proposed it, and I said on air, we knew the Pentagon was spending tens of billions to buy reporters, to have fake news, not just Armstrong Williams to push No Child Left Behind, 240-something thousand a year to go out secretly and secretly being funded to push that. It was thousands of reporters, and I said, I guarantee you, Franks is all over TV. He's getting money from the Pentagon slush fund to go say this, and then it came out in mainstream news that he was paid over $500,000 that year alone to go out and read that talking point on the news, introducing that martial law keeps you safe. We've got to get rid of our form of government. Now the White House memos, I'm going through the evidence now, the John Yoo memos have been released, and it says we're going to ban free speech. We're going to basically make Bush a dictator. This is mainstream headlines. He went on to say, here's a headline, terror memos reveal total destruction of U.S. constitutional freedoms. It goes on to say that under PDD 51, just the cover sheet, it states that the president is a dictator under any emergency, including economic, that the Congress can't review it. When Congress and the highest level committee on security, Homeland Security, asked to see the full document, they were told no national security. Now we have the John Yoo memos, where they say the president is above all branches of government, when supposedly legislative, executive, judicial are co-equal. The founders said that really the legislative was above the courts and the executive, the president. So all of that is going on. All of that is admitted. I've got scores of video clips here. One of them is titled 26,000 Pastors for Martial Law, Continuity of Government. And then it goes in Representative Peter DeFazio on the Homeland Security Committee talking about how they were told they're not allowed to read it. They're co-equal with the president, but they can't see it. And then we have other newscast, years after we told you about the clergy response teams, how they had secretly hired 26,000 preachers. We got the secret FEMA documents to tell their flock to take implantable, injections, go to FEMA camps, have their families broken up. People couldn't believe it. Now it's mainstream news. InfraGard, now 50,000 executives with shoot-to-kill orders who have been secretly FBI deputized. We're going to go over all of that. And a lot more coming up. You know, Glenn Beck says he doesn't know if the camps are real. Well, he'd have to be hiding, under his bed not to know that. So we'll come back and go over all this. We are back live, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go over the evidence of FEMA camps and tell you exactly how they operate here right now. Then I'm going to get into how the media, the corporate media, now that this can't be denied anymore, is trying to spin it. First off, Exhibit A. Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program. This is directly from the Army's own website. It's the top link. If you Google Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program, you will be on the Army's own website. In 2002, I published my book, Descent into Tyranny. I've been covering it since 97 when it was declassified, but I put it in my book, Descent into Tyranny. The only other media outlet that I have seen that ever covered this was Dr. Jerome Corsi. Civilian prisons coming soon to the U.S. Army base near you. Little notice regulation allows construction of military installations to hold civilian U.S. citizens on them. Well, they've been in the camps since 86. It was not declassified till 1997. The regulation revises an earlier civilian inmate labor camp signed December 9th, 97 under the Clinton administration. That's when they declassified it. So here is WorldNet Daily on that front. So it is Army Regulation 210-35. Army Regulation 210-35. Now, in 1986, under Rex 84, they opened 12 secret Army camps to test if they could keep them secret while they held federal. Now they hold state prisoners as well. Federal prisoners would then be given a few years off their sentence if they agreed to not tell family about it and to go to the labor camps. It is a labor camp, and under the revised military rules, it allows any U.S. citizens to be put in it under forced labor. Now, this is only about... it's exactly 30 pages long. I suggest you Google, even if you're listening on AM and FM, shortwave satellite right now, just write notes. Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program. Even if you don't have a computer, go to the library. This is important. Write notes. Go check all of this out for yourself, okay? Now, that dovetails with the Houston Chronicle and other publications that reported first in January 7th in the Houston Chronicle 2006 that emergency FEMA camps were being built by a division of Halliburton, Kellogg, Brown, and Root. Write that note, Google it. Because Beck says he's been doing months of research and they've been having trouble finding it. He's doing research, but he can't ever bring any facts. And he makes little jokes about, ooh, the government's going to get me, or, oh, I'm being censored on Fox, and calls us conspiracy theorists. Okay, well, here it is, Beck. And I know listeners for years have been sending you all this, so don't act like you don't know. Civilian Inmate Labor Camp Program. Now, that dovetails with the new legislation introduced. The camps are already built, kind of like they already had the warrantless wiretapping for years, and when they got caught, they retroactively went and legalized it. The bill at these threat fusion centers, FEMA emergency centers in every county and city in the country, they're moving the National Guard in, paying for free space for the police, fire department, emergency management under federal control. It says they're going to have the clergy response teams and community there to help the public as they go into the camp. Obama's going to build medical centers on these. They're going to advertise it's fun to go to the camp, like Germany. They didn't say we're taking you to a slave camp, a forced labor camp, and then a death camp. It was, oh, it's a place because you lost your homes, and, you know, it's a refugee center. And they'll have little newscasts with rock bands there at night playing, and the weekly movie they'll have at the camps. This is how it's been done. The Russians would do this in Eastern Europe when they take over. It is the National Emergency Centers Act, H.R. 645. National Emergency Centers Act, H.R. 645. New legislation authorizes FEMA camps in the U.S. Okay? There's the bill number. Gave it to you. In fact, we have this. Can we throw that up on screen for folks? And I'll give you over 100 articles, but... new legislation authorizes FEMA camps in the U.S. There you go. That integrates it with this. Now, they doubled these from 12 camps that are listed. You can go to them with people on them. People on YouTube have gone and shot to the wire. It shows prisoners at them, and we've shot video of children being held in them. It's in Endgame. You can go, these are the 24 big ones, first 12, kept secret for 11 years, from 86 to 97, was declassified in 97, and now it's been radically expanded in 2005. Okay? There you have it right there. Absolute, total, complete proof. People working in them right now. Then we had the governor 4 years ago in Rhode Island. It was in the local news, in the Providence Journal, and the local NBC affiliate, that they said if you criticize the government, download music, this was in the bill, hundreds of other things, life in prison as under treason. There was another bill almost passed in Oregon under Senator Menace. You can Google that, Senator Menace, FEMA camp bill, and they said downloading music, protesting, life in prison in a forest labor camp. I mean, this is just off the charts, ladies and gentlemen. And when the governor and others got confronted with this in Rhode Island, they said, well, the feds told us to pass this. So I just gave you the sources on that for everybody else that's out there. We told you Obama was going to set up a 1 million-person domestic spy force because he announced they would. The Pentagon had written this up decades ago. Clinton had pushed it. Bush had pushed it under divisions of AmeriCorps called Secure Corps. There were Philadelphia Daily News articles about how they were training 15-year-olds with M16s in the public schools for warrant apprehension and during martial law. That's one source on that. Defense Department announces civilian expeditionary workforce. This is a Steve Watson Infowars.net story, but it's all linked to the bills and mainstream news. Defense Department Directive 1404.10.